That's you live.
Hi everybody, how are you all doing today? I hope you all enjoyed the inquiry that Claire sent for you all yesterday. Today and for the rest of the week, I'll be taking over. My name's Hazel and Claire will be back with you next week again. So I've had a little look at the video that Claire has sent for us today, and it's all about teeth. Now, some of our children were up in the woods and they found this. There was lots of other bones with this skull, but we could see the teeth were quite flat. And when we're looking at teeth and skeletons, you can tell what kind of food the creature ate by the shape of their teeth. Now, the video today talks a little bit about that. So hopefully all the boys and girls will have lots of ideas about the different animals they're interested in, and maybe they can go out and look and find some evidence of animals and what they like to eat in their own habitats. Now, if you would like to share any of your ideas or anything you've been up to, you can share on Twitter with @TheNatureSchool. Or if you can go onto the Facebook for your own regional group, that would be brilliant. We can have a wee look at your ideas there. And for all the international viewers, there's an international Facebook page as well. So we would be absolutely delighted to see what you have all been up to. So I'll just pass you back over to Bravo to play the film for today, and then we can have a wee chat and see what all your ideas are for what you'll be up to later on. Thanks, Bravo.
Welcome to our second film, all around bones and big teeth. We've had amazing adventures so far. We've been out and about and looking really hard at the idea of footprints. Now what we're going to do is share a little bit of our memories, remembering that our book is just a place where we can draw and think and put in pictures, so that when we want to look back on this time, it'll be very easy just to look back at those ideas. So here are some of the things you've been saying. We've been noticing that deer feet look different to our own feet, that things like cars can make tire tracks, that spiders' webs look like jewels, and that actually when you look in detail at a pine cone, it looks a little bit like a deer foot. We've found feathers, we've found all sorts of prints as we've been out and about outside. Here are some of the tracks we found, everything from horseshoes to deer prints to our own welly boot prints down to what we think might be a cat. So we've been looking really carefully, and as we've been looking really carefully, we've been trying new things. So some people have found some antler, other people have used their toys to push them into clay and have a go at looking at the shapes that they make. We've been doing some identification. We've been creating little places to attract the birds on sand so we can maybe see their footprints when they come to feed. We've been looking at our dinosaur footprints in sand and clay, and we've been doing some drawing. So huge amounts of learning already. In addition to that, you've made more discoveries. So we found the traces of things that have been there and now they're gone. So we found jaw bones with teeth in. We've sadly found little animals that have died and we've respectfully put them away. We've looked at feathers and shells. We've looked at the idea of beautiful stones and stunning spiders' webs. We've found holes and began to wonder what is inside that hole. So in our talking tub, I want us to think a little bit about the idea of leaves, because some of those things that we found have been jaw bones from things that we call herbivores. We found traces of animals that are herbivores, like horses. A herbivore is something that likes to eat grass and plants, and it's different to this one. These are the teeth of something that is a carnivore. And so they have these very big front teeth that bite into something. So when you look at your teeth and when you're looking at the fossils of animals, we can tell a lot about what they eat because of the shape of their teeth. Here is a herbivore. This is a Highland cow, and we can see from his very flat teeth, he hasn't got those big pointed teeth, that he's actually designed for biting off grass and for chewing grass. So when we look at dinosaurs, one of the things that we've begun to realize is that some of those dinosaurs went around in herds, just like cows. There were different dinosaurs who had different habitats, different places where they liked to live. And so we can imagine that some of the dinosaurs were very happy inside the jungles, inside these green places where they could easily camouflage themselves to hide away, but they could also then reach the grass and the plants that they wanted to eat. So when we're out and about, what we need to do is to look closely at the plants that are around us, because in those plants, there's enough nutrients to keep some animals alive. And that's the way it was for the dinosaurs as well. So some plants we have today were around at the time of the dinosaurs. This is called horsetail fern. And depending on where you live, this is a weed that comes up in our gardens a lot. It's got very long roots that go way, way down. And so this was actually around when the dinosaurs were actually eating this same plant. There's something called a hard fern, and this has been around for 350 million years. That's even before the dinosaurs came onto the planet. There's a beautiful tree called a ginkgo tree, and it's sometimes called the living fossil because it goes back 270 million years to when something called a trilobite was alive. So the ginkgo tree is still around today. So we've got some plants that are now in our gardens and in our countryside that were around at the same time as the dinosaurs. Now, some of those dinosaurs really enjoyed eating up high. So they went for long necks and short bodies. They had strong tails so they could bring themselves up and eat the leaves at the top of bushes, the top of some of the ferns. So one of the things that you might want to do is to take your toy dinosaurs, if you've got those, and split them into the herbivores, those that really enjoyed eating plants, and those that were carnivorous, the carnivores, who really enjoyed eating meat. And when you've done that, let's have a go at creating an outdoor habitat for your herbivores. So they might have liked some water. They might have liked a place where they could be hidden. So let's explore the habitats of some of our herbivores today. If you don't want to do dinosaurs, you can always look at your farm set and use some of the animals in there. The other thing that fascinates me is that we have traces of things that come and eat leaves all over our gardens, all over our villages and towns. We have little tiny things that are eating the leaves around us. Just look at all these different holes that we found by looking at leaves. I wonder if you can guess what it was that ate all of these things though, because I don't think it would be a dinosaur because they're not around anymore. This is one of the characters that likes to make holes. He likes to eat leaves. So this is a snail, and we can tell he's a snail because he has that lovely spiral shell. What's amazing about a snail is that actually his little mouth has some teeth in it, some hardened areas. And so although we don't think of things like this as having teeth, they do, because it's the thing that they use to grind up those plants and those leaves. Here's something else that really likes to eat leaves. These are caterpillars. And when a caterpillar group decides to hatch on your leaf, so they come out of little eggs and they hatch into caterpillars, then what we find is that we end up with a leaf that's got lots of holes in it. What's beautiful about caterpillars is that they will transform one day to make a beautiful butterfly or a moth. When you're out on your walks today, I want you to be looking really closely. Think a little bit about where a caterpillar might like to live. Think about those small things that live around the leaves that have gone onto the ground, like woodlice and slugs. See if you can see any of those and watch them really closely to see how they're going about eating those leaves that are all around you. Things that you might like to take with you, well, you might want to take a magnifying glass so you can look really closely at the way that these little tiny invertebrates are having a go at eating leaves. You might want to draw them if you're outside, and you might want to video them if you've got a phone. Either way, today is about thinking about things that eat plants. So we're going out to create habitats for some of our animals or our dinosaurs, whatever it is that we want to create our habitat for. And we're also going to go out and see if we can find some clues, some traces as to whether or not we can discover who it is that's eating all of our leaves. I look forward to seeing you in the virtual classroom.
Fantastic. That is some very exciting challenges for everybody today. I'll just have a little look at the comments to see who's with us all. So good morning. Were you able to find any footprints yesterday? Now, yesterday, actually, when we were up in the woods, one of the boys, a little boy called Elliot, came across a really big shape that looked like a footprint. And all the children were hypothesizing, thinking, what could this footprint have been made by? Some children thought it was a T-Rex, but then we had a wee thing and we thought, well, we don't really get T-Rexes anymore, do we? And some children thought there was a big giant in the woods. It looked like a big human footprint. And we thought, well, we haven't really seen a giant around. And because giants are so big, you would think we'd notice. So we came to the conclusion that it was just the shape of the earth, but the earth looked exactly like a footprint. It was quite exciting for all the children to have a think about what it could have been made by though. Now, if you would like to leave any comments for us to have a look at and see what you would like to make or to find today, then that would be brilliant, and we can have a look at that. If you choose to make a habitat and you've got your animals in your house, your toy animals, have a little look at your animals. So if you have a diplodocus, you'll have to think about its long neck. And because its neck is so long, you'll have to think, should I leave the food up high for my diplodocus, or would it be better to have food down on the ground? And then I wonder, if I had a T-Rex, do you think it would want to eat plants, or do you think it might want to eat meat? So maybe have a look at his teeth and see if they're sharp like a meat eater's or flat like a plant eater's. It'll be so exciting to see what you guys get up to. So please do share on all the media sources mentioned earlier. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. We'll see you all later then.